the Inspector General of Police who will arrest him. In the case of the EFCC chairman, he was directed to arrest him and ensure that he's sent to Kuje. This time, he's the one to go to Kuje for 3 months. Who will arrest him? But the IGP is saying, look, he's not aware of the court order, but is that what the law says, that ignorance is permissible in law? It puts several issues forward. Definitely, one of such is that if you have been appointed into any public office, one of the first things you should ask are the records of court judgments that have been passed, have been given for or against your establishment, so that you don't fall trap of this. Some will say the judiciary is working up, indeed, that others that have been given are not being adhered to, and they are trying to ensure that the rule of law prevails. My colleagues are on the program this morning, Amechi Anakwe and Abulu Osamago.
Thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to the program. Just to inform you that the killer of the PDP woman leader in Kogi State several years back was arrested and arraigned before the court, and he was convicted and given 12 years prison sentence for culpable homicide. Perhaps the stronger charges were not proved, and so culpable homicide, 12 years means 6 years in prison, and the person becomes a free person. Will this person, the killers of this woman, be arrested? And if they are arrested, what form of prosecution? We see situations where the prosecuting authority, in this instance the police, will not diligently pursue the case, prosecute the case. At the end of the day, it becomes so weak, and some people may blame the judiciary, but you know where the blame lies. If this one is the killers are arrested, would they also face similar charges? That is, if ever they are arrested. We must do everything possible to protect the vulnerable groups. The vulnerable groups are women, the elderly, and young children. In the event of any crisis, they are the worst hit. While the men can run and fly to safety, they are left behind, and they face all manners of abuses. Every country in the world, every democracy carry out take special measures to protect them and give them a sense of belonging. For instances, in Kenya and Rwanda, they are given a percentage of seats in the parliament as a way of accepting, yes, that we need to do more to protect. But in Nigeria, we are being killed. The women bills in the National Assembly for equality bill and all that doing constitutional amendment all failed. When others are improving and guaranteeing the rights of women, we are killing them here, and we have refused in a male-dominated society to give them the kind of protection they desire. Is this what we want to hear going into this election? No. On the Inspector General of Police, he was asked to arrest, like you said, the EFCC chairman. Now, who arrests the Inspector General of Police? He points again to a critical matter here, adherence to the rule of law. There's what you call arrogance of power. Some people acquire it without knowing. It's such one of the trappings of the office. Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? And when you have that attitude, you begin to see others as lesser mortals. You begin to see yourself as a demigod. The rules and laws don't apply to you. Look, go to our roads. When a big man is moving with a convoy, they will drive you out of the road because they don't see you fit enough to share the same road with them. They are superhumans, so the lesser humans should not be on the same road with them. Is that attitude that is prevalent in Nigeria? And like the court judge said, we must purge this set of people of those tendencies, where if there's a judicial pronouncement, you ignore it because you're who? I always remind them that wherever you are, look at former IGP, Inspector General of Police. Where are they today? Sometimes they drive alone in the one vehicle. If you're a former governor, come to Abuja. They're all here praying for visitors to come and see them. They are lonely. So one day you leave that office, that big man attitude will leave you, and you become a normal citizen. Think of that day so that you condition yourself to be within the confines of the law. It's a lesson. If the Inspector General of Police does not turn himself to the police, to report to Kuje Correctional Center this morning, the president and every well-meaning Nigerian should insist that he does that.
Like Maxwell Okpara
will say
like he's an ex-convict.
So should we, good morning TV, good morning Nigerians, should we now say the IGP, let me pick up from where I met stuff. Should we now say, according to Maxwell Okpara, in the case of the EFCC boss, that the IGP Alkali Baba is an ex-convict? Well, that remains for the legal team or the lawyers to explain, but we have not even heard of any appeal from the police if they are going to appeal the judgment.
He has requested the Commissioner of Police in charge of legal in the force headquarters to advise him. I'm sure that will be part of the advice.
Good. Now, if we have cases like this, you are the arm of government that enforces court judgments, the police, and you, the top hierarchy of the police, the overall is being sent to Kuje, and they are being slow, like a dassical, in implementing this judgment. And it goes a long way to say how court judgments are being felt in Nigeria. People don't respect court judgment, people don't obey it, and in some cases, those the big and the mighty will use the police to implement their own court order in their favor by force. These same police instruments or the police element are there looking at the IGP, who has been, according to Maxwell Okpara, not me, a lawyer saying you have been convicted. So they are looking at him and they cannot touch him. And they cannot say, okay, Oga, let's go to Kuje. I think we should, see, as Amechi has said, equality is one thing that we are lacking in this country. Everybody is equal when you face the law. The law makes the president and the lower person in that village in Yenagoa to be equal before the law. So if the court of law has said, IGP, sir, you should go to Kuje for 3 months to purge yourself. And what is the case in hand? The man said, the officer, senior officer, police officer said he was retired illegally. And after being asked to be reinstated, the IGP then, 2011, refused to reinstate him and pay him his entitlement. And that is an issue that is prevalent in the civil service and in some paramilitary, where some officers are unjustly retired. And when they appeal and they win court cases, these court cases will not be obeyed. I think this is a case in hand which civil society need to rise up. You have the Clean Foundation that are focused on such issues. They should rise up and fight for justice. Justice for one is justice for all. If this one says true and the police is able to pay the 10 million that court has put on them, and the IGP respects the court and say, okay, as the IGP, I will go and appeal, and I'm sorry for what has transpired, and we will face these things off, and such things will not come up. Tevin, quickly, let me go to the issue of the woman that was killed in Kaduna. This brings the peace accord that was signed to question. We have said here oftentimes, or severally after that peace accord, that some political parties in the federal and the state, their candidate didn't sign that peace accord, and that brings to question. Now, this is an issue that we expect that the intelligence is gathered and a finger is pointed to some direction which will open up investigation. We have not seen that. And if fingers are pointed and investigation is open and some political parties are pointed as responsible for this, will that case proceed from there? No. The peace accord is an instrument not backed by law to help people behave morally towards election. That's why we keep saying that the peace accord can be backed by law, by a legal instrument, so that if anything happens before election or after election, some persons can be held responsible. Don't forget, we have won against governorship candidates or exiting governors making some kind of inciting statements. Some persons have said that Labour Party cannot come to Kaduna State and campaign and they cannot get a certain number of votes, and that is inciting to some persons. And that incitement will go down to their supporters, and the supporters will make use of this and say, after all, our leader has said this is his mind, this is his direction, this is what he wants. And they will go there and implementing it without even the knowledge of whoever has made that statement.
Indeed, we are looking forward to what the Kaduna State government will say in respect of this. I know that in recent times we've been getting daily statements from the Kaduna State government on the ongoing operation against terrorists in that state. We hope that there will also be a statement on this particular issue, committing the Kaduna State government to ensuring that they will look for justice, that justice is done in the matter of the killing of the woman leader of the Labour Party in Kaura local government.
And we've not even heard from the Labour Party. They've not reacted.
No, they have. Yes, they
state
have.
chairman.
In fact, the presidential candidate has also sent his condolences to the family and raised issues with it. On the issue of the police that we're talking about, perhaps for those who are not aware, one Patrick Okoli had gone to court, the Federal High Court in Abuja. Indeed, he got his judgment in 2011. He was sacked in 1992. I don't even know whether to say sacked, because the court judgment said he was compulsorily retired, but the statement by the force headquarters is saying he was dismissed. So we don't even know which one we should be going by, but he is out of service. He was asked to leave the service in 1992. That is about 30 years ago. And from the statement of the police, they are saying that was few years after the current Inspector General of Police was recruited or enrolled into the Nigeria Police Force. And this judgment was actually given in 2011 when he was not an IGP. Not just that, I'm not sure he was a Commissioner of Police at this time, because he was made Commissioner of Police sometime.
But it is, as we said in the case of EFCC, it is the office that we're talking about.
It is.
And don't forget, the Police Service Commission gave an order, saw the issue with the Patrick Okoli and said that he should be reinstated. But of course, you know what powers are, how people handle power in Nigeria. The IGP office has refused to reinstate this man. So that brings a question about the relationship between the Police Service Commission and the IGP office, or the police force. So the Police Service Commission is supposed to be the service arm of the police, because they provide promotion, they do examination to promote the police officers.
The Police Service Commission ceded its powers a long time ago. It ceded its powers to the office of the Inspector General of Police, and they've not recovered those powers. And that's why we're seeing most of what is happening. It is even affecting the recruitment of the 10,000 police officers. There's a particular issue that is in court over, the matter, as it were. But what we're also trying to point out is the fact that it took Patrick Okoli 30 years to get justice, actually 19 to get a judgment, and then now about 30 years, perhaps now that the IGP is aware of the matter. Obviously, we expect
11 years after.
Yes, just like the case of the EFCC, action will be taken, to implement or to obey the court order, as it were. We'll take a break at this point, and when we get back, we'll also look at, I hope we'll have the time, the issue of the fuel scarcity, the response or the reaction or the explanation by the NNPC Limited.